You ever end up just lighting your drift car on fire and desperately needing a easy win? Well, that's me today. This right here is my 1995 Ford F-150 with a flatbed on it. It's running, it's driving, but there's a couple places me and my homie want to go. Namely this old abandoned mine called it's like an art installation / mine called Wheel of Misfortune. Now, I don't know if you can tell anything about this truck, but you can't see shit out of this thing at night. So a while ago, I ended up buying these. Where is it? Oh, there they are. There's some KC Slimlite LEDs, and they're going on to here today because I need a win. Okay, so before I ended up doing anything too major, I want to kind of use the grill as a layout for how I'm going to be mapping the lights. And yes, this grill is pretty fucked up, but at the same time, it's not that bad. Wow, the truck actually looks a lot better even with the fucky grill. Okay, let me get some screws and screw this thing in. What I'll probably end up doing is measuring about halfway for the grill in between here, and using that to mount up the lights. Let's have 2 inches forward from there. It'll make sense once I do it. Okay, so I had the first light roughly set in, and it was actually not that hard to drill into it. Okay, I'll just give you a quick overview, like a Cliff Notes version of how I'm doing this. So step one is I use the center punch to actually create a little dimple in here so I can have my drill bit go in like correctly. Next step is to actually drill it out. Okay, so that is the smallest drill bit size I have, which is 1/16. Then I'm going to step up to 11/16 and then to ½ inch. ½ inch is the whole size that's necessary to get the actual the headlight to go in there, or the fog light to go in there, this KC Slimlite to fit. And I did use WD-40 to lubricate the surface in order to prolong the life of my drill bits. The more and more I look at my truck, the more it starts to remind me of like an old shrimp boat or something. Now we move on to the big hole. It's going to be the ½ inch hole. And the more and more I look at this, the more and more I'm pretty sure that this is going to be crooked. But fuck it, the truck's already been on a front end wreck. So as long as the lights illuminate where I'm going, I'll be happy. Okay, so now when it comes to actually putting this guy on, you're going to see the actual base, right? So there's one 16mm nut with a lock washer and a washer. So those two go on the bottom side of what you're trying to mount to, and the bracket lies flush with the bumper. So it goes bracket, bumper, washer, lock washer, then nut. So remember that when you're putting this thing on. And I'm really curious to see if I got this crooked or not. Oh yeah, that's crooked as hell. Damn it. So now I'm gonna go underneath. Actually, let me put that cover on here real quick. Okay, so now those lights are mounted relatively close to, center-ish. The next step is going to be this wiring harness. Now, this wiring harness kind of is a simplification of what would normally be the most complicated step. It does include all the connectors, relays, and the switch that are necessary to do this, and it comes with instructions. So, it's simple in the sense that these two bits go to the fog lights, then some bits go to the battery, and okay, so this one goes to the fog light 1, this one goes to fog light 2. So I'm going to hook those two up first, and then I'm going to route the rest of the wires into the cab. What I'm going to do is feed these two wires, which again are the ones that are going to be connecting to the actual fog lights, down into here, which will go to my bumper. From there, I can connect them to the lights. One thing that's kind of interesting is there's no relay in this wiring harness. So as much of an amazing truck as the OBS Ford is, routing wires through this thing is pretty hard actually. So I had to go underneath the truck to find some grommets I can run wires through, and I found that one in the floor pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole through that, hope that goes all the way through, route the wires through there, and drill a hole here or around around here for the switches. And once the switch is hooked up, then I can just add the power to it. It hopefully shouldn't be that difficult. So I'm gonna get a drill bit that matches the approximate size of this right here. Drill a hole, route these wires inside the cab, and go from there. Okay, so now that I have routed the wires, I've used that grommet that's directly behind the accelerator pedal. I believe you can see it right there. That one goes directly outside, and it's pretty easy to get to from under the truck. Now, since I want to end up drilling the hole and putting the light switch into this general area, what I'll have to do is go right here and pop this little piece out. You can see right there, there is a T20 torque screw there. There's going to be a T20 torque screw over here too. So those two need to come out. Then this guy goes down, and I pull the headlight knob off as well, and then it should just come right out. Okay, so I pulled these two T20 screws out. Both of them are gone. Next step was to remove the actual headlight knob. So what you need to do is turn it around so that you can see this little piece. Inside, you'll see a little metal tab right there. You need to pull that metal tab back out, and then you can take the headlight knob off. Next step is just to pull it out around, just like that. And so this guy should just come right out. Nope, it looks like there's still the connector for that headlight piece right there. Let me get that out. Okay, so now that I have the headlight bezel out, I was originally going to drill around here, which is near the fuel switch and everything. But I noticed behind this panel in the dash itself, there's a lot of interference. Over here are where the factory blank switches are, so I'm going to just drill it into here. This way I don't run the risk of messing anything up behind the dash. I'm going to drill a hole, plug it in there, and hit the wires in from the back. Okay, so I've got everything installed on the truck, and here you can see where I mounted the switch. Again, I stuck with the original factory blank switch location since I don't have whatever options these included as. Yeah, that's the switch right there. I will include the wiring diagram that came with the switch in the instructions so you can actually see what this goes into. Overall, this is a very simple spot. You can't see it right now, but since it is under the carpet, you don't see any of the wiring. Okay, so this is the truck itself. There's still a bit of WD-40 sticking off from where I sprayed it to put the lights on. One thing I don't really like is that on this truck, these lights look tiny, or this truck in particular is a decently sized truck. So I should have seen this coming. 6-inch lights, 6-inch lights are probably going to look tiny, but as far as their overall light output goes, they're pretty good. This is what they look like without the cover on. I'll be honest, they look a little eBay-y without the cover on. But as far as build quality goes, it's solid metal on the back. Pretty sure that's a polycarbonate plastic. Keeping the cover on is probably going to save these lights from hazing up and yellowing over time. I do have a massive preference to the daylighter aesthetic. This looks very much more futuristic. It doesn't really fit the whole like beat up work truck vibe this truck has going on. And granted, it won't be a beat up work truck for long, but I still like the old school look. Maybe one day I'll get a set of daylighters as a driving light. Okay, so this is the closest thing to a dark spot I can find. So in comparison, these are my gauges, my radio, all that, and these are my low beams, right? So that right there is just my regular everyday low beam. That's my high beam. Let's see if you can see. So there's my low beam, high beam, and now we'll hit those lights. The difference is huge. I will say it's to the point where like it actually hurts if you're coming upon like a reflective sign, because so much light will bounce back off you. Yes, I do need to aim it a little bit better, but you can see very clearly the hot spot right there, and the beam pattern is quite narrow because you look off to the side and you don't have any illumination off to the side. For this truck and for now, it works perfectly fine. And here's another further down the road kind of comparison right here. Difference is literally huge. that's going to be the video of me installing these KC HiLiTES Slimlites onto my 1995 Ford F-150. If you're interested in more stuff, hopefully my drift car will be unburnt pretty soon and running, which I keep saying in every video, but the damn thing still hasn't run like as a drift car. Anyway, point being, have a good one, guys. Do whatever else you do on YouTube.